Hi everyone, and welcome to Creative Chelsey. Today I'm really excited to be sharing with you my first alternative card using the February 2022 paper pumpkin kit called Safari Celebration. This fun kit created 9 cards, 3 in each of these designs. What I like to do is take the products from the kit and change them up a little bit to create my own cards. This month, I had a hard time coming up with something that was cuter than those. And so to make them a little bit more fun, I am adding a little bit of movement to my first 3 alternative projects. So make sure to keep coming back this week for more of that. This one is a slider card. It's just really cute. It makes me feel like the monkey is jumping a little bit if you look at it from this angle. So we'll be creating this fun card today, so I hope you stick around and see how I made it. If you are new to my channel and want to see more of my videos, click on the subscribe button and then the bell for notifications. I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and help you with any of your paper crafting needs. To purchase any of the products you see me use today or to subscribe to Paper Pumpkin, please use the links that are in the description below. So today I'm going to be creating this card using some of the other colors that are in the kit. I feel like the colors are very interchangeable and I want to show you some different options so you don't feel like you have to use the colors that I'm using on my cards. So I'm going to be starting with one of the card bases from the kit. This is the Soft Succulent color, and you're going to trim this down into a 4" by 5 1/4" inch piece. So very simple, you just trim it right in half. You can trim along the score line or you can trim right at 4 inches, and then you'll cut off a little piece at the bottom to get that 5 1/4. So this is where you'll begin, 4 inches by 5 1/4. So to create this slider card, we're going to need to create this opening inside this card front. So to do that, you're going to want to measure from 3/4 of an inch at the top and bottom, and then 1/2 inch on each side. So I'm going to begin with my side measurements. I line it up on the right side of my cutting blade at the 1/2 inch mark, bring my paper trimmer into the center of my cardstock, and then using the score line or this marking here on the blade, I'm going to line it up where I want to stop. So that's going to be at 3/4 of an inch here at the top, and then down at the bottom to 4 1/2 inches, which is 3/4 from 5 1/4. Then I can rotate and do the same thing on the other side. So up to 3/4 of an inch and down to 4 1/2 inches. So it's important that we actually don't cut the top of that. That's going to be scored. So we're only trimming off the bottom. So now we're going to measure the bottom at 3/4 of an inch, and we're going to go till the blade meets these previously cut lines. And we should have a flap like this. Then you're going to rotate. Move your paper trimmer out of the way and bring in your scoring blade. And you're going to now line up at 3/4 of an inch at the top, and you'll score to the cut lines. So do that a couple times to make sure you have a nice deep score line. So to find the center of this middle panel, the measurement here is about 3 3/4 inches. So we need about 1 7/8 from this line. So we're going to now add also 3/4 of an inch to that number. So we'll just start at 2, add 3/4, so that puts us at 2 3/4, and then subtract 1/8, and that should be the center point here in the middle. So go ahead and just line that up and use your scoring blade to make a nice crease. Then to fold this, you're going to fold the top back and then the middle in on itself, just like that. And it should line up nicely. Then you can use a bone folder to make a nice crease. So now we have that beginning part of that sliding element. So we also need to use our paper trimmer to cut out the center panel from one of the envelopes. So to do that, I just trim off the bottom with just a small amount there on the bottom and sides. And I'm actually going to use the back side of the envelope. I'm just going to begin cutting it. There's this part here where there's like doubled up where it's glued, and I don't want that part. So then I'm going to rotate it over so that I can get the full length, which is 3 3/4. I might just add a little bit on to it so that I can trim off some off this side here, because I don't want that solid part on my pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and trim that. And then I'm going to cut down to 3 inches, which should be the middle, should be the measurement for that middle section. So 3 inches by 3 3/4 is that middle section there. Next, we're going to work on this sliding element back here that pulls the card up and down. So I'm going to begin with a piece that is 3.5 inches by 4 3/4 inches. And what I need to do is score a little section on the bottom. And this is, I'm scoring it at 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to also cut from that score line to the top. So I'm going to line that up and cut, and I'm doing that at 1/4 of an inch on each side as well. So just kind of eyeball that cut. So we have 1/4 of an inch on each side, cut down to 1/4 of an inch, and then we have our 1/4 of an inch strip here at the top that's been scored. So go ahead and fold down the longer middle section and use a bone folder to make a nice crease. And then you can cut these off, and you can cut them at a slight angle if you want, just so they don't interfere with that mechanism. So slight angle to remove those tabs on each side. Okay, so you're going to take that middle part and you're going to attach this to the bottom. Okay, so this flap here is going to be attached to the bottom on the back of that middle panel, just like this. Okay, so I'm going to use a little liquid adhesive, and that's just going to make it easy to kind of move around and make sure it's in the right place. But you don't want that adhesive to seep out and get sticky everywhere. So just use a little bit. And again, we're working on the back, and that should fit perfectly down at the base. So just line it up. Okay, so now you can see that when that's laying flat, this should move easily back and forth. So I'll show you again how I adhered it. So that little tiny strip right there, can you see that? It is adhered to the bottom on the inside, and then this flips over that and it comes back and forth like that. So when it lays flat, it should be flush with the top, so you shouldn't see it. I'm going to go ahead and make a marking here with a pencil. And I'm just going to mark it right in the center at 2 inches. Then I'm going to take a circle punch, and it can be any size. I'm using 1 1/4 inches. And I just slide it in a little bit until I have like a little bit that I want to cut off, and it's right in the center. Do you see how that center mark is in the center of the circle? And that's going to be where I can do a hole punch so that it can pull easily. Okay, so I'll show you the original card so you can see what that is supposed to look like. Okay. All right. So before we add any more to this, I am going to do some stamping right here on the top. This is going to be a little extra greeting. So this one says, "You are amazing." And then I've stamped some of the other images that came in the kit. So this is the stamp set that came in the kit. And so I've used those on this card here. So I have the Rich Razzleberry. And this is the ink spot that came in the kit. And I'm just going to ink up the word amazing. I'm going to start with this one. Now I'm working, so if this is the way it's folded and it's all flat, I've just flipped the front over, and that's the side I'm working on. Okay, so this is the part that we've just added, and I'm going to just stamp this off to the right, and then do "You're so amazing" above it. I've stamped it so that maybe there's about a 1/2 inch or so, or 1.5 inches, I'm sorry, above the top of that. And then you can decorate this with any coordinating colors that you want. I have Pear Pizzazz, Soft Succulent, Bumblebee, and Fresh Freesia. So I'm going to begin, let's begin with the Bumblebee color and the Soft Succulent. So ink up that leaf image, and I'm just going to stamp it off to the left. Then you can clean this if you'd like, and then move to another color. I've got the Bumblebee, and I'm just going to stamp it off to the side here. And then I'm going to do Pear Pizzazz, and all these colors coordinate nicely with the kit. Let's see. So it'll look something like this. And then I'm going to do Fresh Freesia with the little dots that came in the kit. So maybe something like that. Just have fun with it. Okay, so now we're ready to start adding some of these pieces to a card base. So I did use just a regular card base and added this to the top. If you want to keep it a little simpler, you could just do a like postcard size. So you just cut that down, and then there wouldn't be anything to open, and they would just have that sliding element, and that would be fine too. I think that's a fun idea. So you're going to take this and just lay everything nice and flat, and you'll see that you've got a little border on the left and right where you can add some dimensionals, and that's going to help make the paper move smoothly. So you can see that I have trimmed my sides to get some nice skinny pieces. So like down here, I've trimmed off some of that. You could do that, or you can also cut them in half, these dimensionals, and then you'll just add them, the halves on the sides here. So I think that's what I'm going to do for this card, because I don't really need a whole bunch. I just need it to lift up off the card base. Now you don't want them to stick to that center panel. So if they do, kind of push them off to the side so that the center panel can move. Make sure to add some at the bottom for support. So once you've done that, you can go ahead and remove these pieces. And you'll add that to a card base. I'm using a card base of thick basic white cardstock, and this is just going to get added right in the center of that piece, and just make sure that the bottom, that this is the top and this is the bottom. So there'll be a little border all the way around. Okay, And then once it's there, you can work to make sure that it's working right, just like that. So now we're at the place where we can decorate the front. When we add our elements, we need to attach them only here to the bottom. And then once we've added this middle section, we can attach to the whole section. This piece just has to be able to move up and down. So I'm going to take some strong adhesive and add it to the bottom section. And then this piece is from our envelope, and I'm just going to go ahead and add that right here to the middle. And you may want to just test it as you're adding things to make sure that everything is working smoothly. Next, I'm going to add the Vellum Circle from the kit. I'm just going to place this in the center. And like I said, you can add it to the top and bottom now because this panel here is connected correctly. Next, I'm going to place my little hula hoop monkey kind of in the center, a little bit off to the left, just a little bit, just so there's enough room for my greeting. I've got one of the fresh freesia leaves. I'm going to add that to the center as well. Then for the greeting, I've taken one of the green rectangles from that kit, and I'm just going to turn it over and use the white side. And I'll stamp it in the rich raspberry, and I'm going to use the Let's Celebrate. So just stamp that right in the center. I'm going to attach that with a dimensional to the right and then some adhesive on the left. It's going to attach to the center of the monkey here. And so this can go off. It needs to stay on the vellum. So it can go as far over as you want as long as it's adhering to the vellum there. Okay, so like that. And then I do want to decorate this bottom just a little bit, just for some fun. So for this card, I used some of the leftover pieces of the envelope and then another skinny piece from when I was cutting down my card bases. So I'm going to take that yellow bumblebee envelope and I'm going to trim along this score line here. That's going to be cut at about 4.5 inches from the bottom. Then I'm going to trim it again at 1 inch, which will remove the adhesive that's on that flap. And then I'm going to trim this down to 3.25 inches. That should be enough to kind of tuck it underneath there. And then again, I've got that little strip of fresh freesia from the Cardbase. So I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive down here, and you could do this with liquid adhesive or your stamp and seal. And you just want to tuck this in. There should be plenty of room. Just kind of tuck it in and then make sure it's nice and even going across so it's not crooked. So just kind of line it up like that. And then you'll do the same with this one. This one I'm just going to add the adhesive to the actual strip and tuck that in. If you need to trim some off, you can. Just depends on where those dimensionals are. And that can go right at the top or wherever you want to place it. Okay. And you can see if it's even by letting the bottom of this middle part come down to it, because this is going to stay nice and even. You also want to make sure that you don't put anything here with dimensionals, because then that's going to catch and not open and close easily. Then if you want to do any stamping, I did stamp "You Did It" off to the left. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm using the rich raspberry ink spot that came in the kit again. Ink that up nicely, and then it's pretty easy just to line it up on the left side and even stamping. Then if you want to add any more of the die cuts, you can. This one is a rich raspberry branch, and I've added a glue dot at the top because I don't want it to catch as that paper is coming up and down. And so just to make sure that adhesive is hiding, I'm just kind of bending it back on itself. And then you can place that inside your card, just like that. So if you have any parts of this branch that are catching, you can add a little liquid glue. I'm going to do that with a little scrap piece. So I'm going to place some glue on the scrap and kind of smear it around a little bit. And then on that piece that's sticking up, I'm just going to tap that scrap onto the back. And that's just going to give it just enough adhesive so that it will stick down but not spread around my card and be sticky. And that should move easily up and down. It's such a cute card. I really love the fun action and movement that it gives. So the next thing we need to do is attach some ribbon here so people know to pull this. And so to do that, I'm going to take a pencil and just make a little mark in the center of this circle, and that's where I want to punch my hole, or you could even staple some ribbon if you'd like. So then I'm going to pull this part out so I don't punch a hole in my card, and then line that up and punch it just like that. Then I'm going to use 5 inches of this soft succulent ribbon, fold it in half and string it through the hole. And then open the loop and put the ends through the loop. And then you just want to be gentle as you're tightening it because you're pretty close to the edge of your cardstock there, and you don't want to accidentally rip it. And it doesn't need to be super tight. It can be kind of loose. So then you've got this nice easy pull tab for your really cute card here. There we go. So the last thing I want to do are add some of the embellishments that came in the kit. They're kind of a translucent pebble, and I'm going to take a dark rich raspberry blend marker, and I'm going to color over 5 of them and then add these to my card. The nice thing about blends is that you can change the color of accessories like these. I'll give you a close-up of how that looks. So they're a lot more noticeable when you give them a little bit of color. And then I'm just going to add these around my card, just randomly. Okay, and my card is all done. I love that we changed up the colors so that you can see that you can use many of the different products from the kit to create these fun slider cards. I hope you enjoyed watching me create this fun card today. If you're interested in getting your own subscription to Paper Pumpkin, please use the link in the description box below to subscribe. If you'd like to get written instructions or see close-up images of how I created this card, you can visit my blog, creativechelsey.com. Thanks so much for watching. Have a creative day. Bye.